Atlanta, Georgia. November 5th, 2022. Sarah Mitchell stands in the attic of her childhood home and stares at a woman she hasn't seen in 23 years. A woman she thought abandoned her when she was 8 years old. A woman who's been locked in this attic, 30 feet above Sarah's old bedroom. For 23 years. Her mother, alive. But we need to go back. We need to understand how Sarah got here. How a woman buying her childhood home became the end of the longest nightmare imaginable. How a missing person case from 1999 finally closed in 2022. How justice, real justice, was finally served. This is that story. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear this story. If you're comfortable, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now, let me tell you what happened to Sarah Mitchell and her mother, Linda. October 12th, 1999. Sarah Mitchell is 8 years old, 3rd grade. She lives with her mother, Linda Mitchell, in a rental house on Cascade Road in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a small house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, but it's theirs, just Sarah and her mom. Linda is 35 years old, single mother, works part-time at a medical billing company when her back allows it. She was in a car accident 3 years ago that left her with chronic pain and limited mobility. She receives disability checks, $1,400 a month, that help them get by. The checks arrive like clockwork on the 1st of every month. Their landlords are Robert and Margaret Kane, white couple. Robert is 50 years old. Margaret is 45. They own the building. It's a duplex, with the Kanes living in the downstairs unit and renting out the upstairs to tenants like Linda. They also own 2 other properties in Atlanta. Robert handles the business side. Margaret manages the day-to-day maintenance and rent collection. Sarah remembers October 12th very clearly. It's the last normal day of her life. She goes to school, comes home. Her mother makes spaghetti for dinner. They watch a TV show together. Linda tucks Sarah into bed at 8:30 p.m. Linda kisses Sarah's forehead, smooths her hair. "I love you, baby," Linda whispers. "Love you too, Mommy," Sarah says. That's the last thing Sarah ever says to her mother as a free woman. October 13th, 1999. Sarah wakes up at 7 a.m., gets dressed for school, goes to the kitchen. Her mother isn't there. Sarah looks in Linda's bedroom. The bed is made. Linda's purse is on the dresser. Her keys are on the kitchen counter. Her shoes are by the door. But Linda is gone. Sarah waits, makes herself cereal, watches cartoons, assumes her mother ran to the store or something, even though Linda never leaves without telling Sarah. 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Sarah is scared now. Calls her grandmother in Savannah, Linda's mother. No answer. Tries again. Nothing. Finally, at 11 a.m., Sarah goes downstairs and knocks on the Kane's door. Margaret Kane opens it, smiles warmly. "Hi, sweetie." "What's wrong?" Sarah's voice is small. "My mom's not home. I don't know where she is." Margaret's smile falters. "She's not upstairs?" "No, ma'am." Margaret exchanges a glance with Robert, who's standing behind her. "Let me come check," Margaret says. She follows Sarah upstairs, looks through the apartment, opens closets, checks the bathroom. "Maybe she went out early," Margaret suggests, but her voice sounds uncertain. "Her purse is here, her keys are here." Margaret's face tightens. "Stay here, honey. I'm going to call some people." The police arrive at 1 p.m. 2 officers, both white, both middle-aged. They take a statement from 8-year-old Sarah. "When did you last see your mother?" Sarah's hands twist in her lap. "Last night. She put me to bed." "Has your mother ever left you alone before?" "No." "Did she seem upset about anything? Sad? Angry?" "No, she was normal." The officers talk to Margaret and Robert Kane. "How long have they been tenants?" one officer asks. Robert leans against his doorframe, arms crossed. "About 3 years. Linda's always paid rent on time. Quiet tenant. No complaints." "Any conflicts recently? Arguments?" "Nothing," Robert says. His face is neutral, calm. The officers search the duplex, check Linda's apartment again, interview neighbors. No one saw anything. No one heard anything. Linda Mitchell simply vanished. The The police file a missing person report. But Sarah can see it in their faces. They think Linda abandoned her daughter. Single mother. Struggling financially. Disabled. They see this all the time. Women who just can't handle it anymore and walk away. Sarah goes into emergency foster care that night. Child Protective Services places her with a temporary family. She brings one bag of clothes and her favorite stuffed animal. She screams and cries when they take her away from her home. "My mommy's coming back," Sarah sobs. "She wouldn't leave me, but Linda doesn't come back." Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The missing person case goes nowhere. No leads. No sightings. No body. Linda Mitchell is added to a database of missing persons, and the file goes cold. Sarah stays in foster care, gets moved to 3 different homes in the first year, never gets adopted. The families always want younger kids, easier kids, kids without trauma. Sarah grows up angry, bitter, convinced her mother abandoned her, because what else could have happened? The police said she probably just left, walked away, decided being a mother was too hard. Sarah turns 9, 10, 11, 12, becomes a teenager, acts out, gets in trouble at school, fights with foster parents, gets moved to group homes. Therapy doesn't help. Nothing helps. The question haunts her. Why did my mother leave me? Sarah ages out of foster care at 18, gets a small apartment, works retail jobs, barely graduates high school, spends her early 20s lost, angry, self-destructive. But at 24, something changes. Sarah meets a counselor at a community center who actually listens to her, who helps her process the abandonment, who suggests maybe Sarah can help other kids who've been through what she went through. Sarah goes back to school, gets her bachelor's degree in social work, then her master's, becomes a social worker specializing in foster care, helping kids who've been abandoned, kids who feel unwanted, kids like she was. She's good at it, really good, because she understands their pain. By 31, Sarah has built a life. She has a career she loves, a boyfriend, Marcus, who's patient and kind, a small apartment in Midtown Atlanta. Therapy has helped her make peace with her past. Most days, she's okay. She'll never forgive her mother for leaving, but she's learned to live with it. October 24th, 2022. Sarah is scrolling through real estate listings when she sees it. The house on Cascade Road, her childhood home, listed for sale, foreclosure auction. Sarah's heart pounds. She clicks on the listing, reads the details. The property has been foreclosed on after the owner, Robert Kane, moved to a nursing home and stopped making mortgage payments. The bank is selling it. Sarah calls her boyfriend. Marcus answers on the second ring. "Hey babe," Marcus says. "What's up?" Sarah's voice shakes. "My childhood home is for sale. The place where I lived with my mom before she left. Are you okay? I want to buy it." Silence on the other end. Then Marcus says carefully, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "I need to," Sarah says. She doesn't know why exactly, just knows she has to. "I need to go back there. Maybe it'll help me finally close that chapter." "Okay," Marcus says. "Then let's do it." Sarah attends the foreclosure auction on November 1st. The bidding is light, it's not a great neighborhood, and the house needs work. Sarah bids $170,000. No one counters. The house is hers. November 4th, 2022. Sarah gets the keys, drives to Cascade Road, parks in front of the duplex, stares at it. 23 years. She hasn't been inside this house in 23 years. The downstairs unit where the Kanes lived is empty. Robert Kane is in a nursing home. Margaret Kane is. Sarah doesn't know, doesn't care. Sarah unlocks the door to her old upstairs unit, steps inside. The house smells musty. Dust covers everything. The furniture is gone, cleared out years ago. But the layout is exactly as she remembers. Kitchen to the left, living room straight ahead, bedrooms down the hall. Sarah walks to what used to be her bedroom, stands in the doorway, remembers being 8 years old, remembers her mother tucking her in, remembers that last "I love you." Marcus comes up behind her, puts his arms around her. "You okay?" he asks quietly. Sarah nods. She's not sure she is, but she nods anyway. They spend the afternoon cleaning, opening windows, sweeping floors, planning renovations. That night, they sleep on an air mattress in Sarah's old bedroom. At 2 a.m., Sarah wakes up to a sound. Scratch, scratch, scratch. She lies still, listening. It's coming from above, from the ceiling. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Marcus is snoring beside her. Sarah sits up, listens. The sound stops. Sarah tells herself it's nothing. Old house. Probably rats or squirrels in the attic. She'll call an exterminator tomorrow. She goes back to sleep. The next night, November 5th, 2022, the sounds are louder. Thump, thump, thump. Footsteps. Slow, shuffling footsteps above their bedroom. Sarah shakes Marcus awake. Do you hear that? Marcus rubs his eyes. Listens. What am I listening for? The footsteps. They both sit in silence. Then, thump, thump, thump. Marcus's eyes widen. Okay, yeah. That's not rats. What is it? I don't know. Maybe raccoons? Sometimes they get in attics and walk around. But it doesn't sound like animals. It sounds like human footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Shuffling. At 3 a.m., they hear something else. Tap, 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 pause. Tap, 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 pause. Tap, tap, tap. It's rhythmic, purposeful, like someone knocking. Sarah's skin crawls. That's not an animal. Marcus gets up, grabs his phone, turns on the flashlight. Where's the attic entrance? They search the house. Check every ceiling, every closet. There's no attic access, no pull-down ladder, no door, nothing. That's weird, Marcus says. He pulls up photos from the real estate listing on his phone, studies the exterior of the house. There's definitely attic space. You can see the roof line, but there's no way to access it from inside. Maybe it's sealed off, Sarah suggests. Why would someone seal off an attic? They don't have an answer. The next morning, Sarah calls a contractor, explains the situation. The contractor, a middle-aged black man named Jerome, arrives that afternoon. Jerome walks through the house, looks at the ceilings, goes outside and examines the roof. Yeah, there's definitely attic space up there, Jerome says. He rubs his chin thoughtfully. But you're right. There's no access from inside your unit. Can you cut through the ceiling? Sarah asks. I need to see what's up there. You sure? Once I cut through, you'll need to install a proper access panel. It's extra work. Sarah nods firmly. I need to know what's making those noises. All right. I can do it today if you want. Take me about an hour. Jerome sets up his ladder in the hallway, marks a spot on the ceiling with a pencil, gets his drywall saw. Sarah and Marcus stand below, watching. Jerome cuts through the drywall. Dust falls. He makes a square opening about 2 feet by 2 feet, pulls away the drywall section, peers up with his flashlight. Jerome goes completely still. What is it? Sarah asks. Jerome doesn't answer. His flashlight beam moves slowly across the attic space. Jerome? The contractor backs down the ladder quickly. His face has gone gray. Ma'am, Jerome's voice shakes. You need to call 911 right now. Sarah's heart stops. What? Why? There's someone up there. The words don't make sense. What do you mean, someone? Jerome won't meet her eyes. There's a woman up there. A living woman. Sarah's world tilts. What? Call 911, Jerome repeats. His hands are trembling. I'm serious. Call them now. Marcus already has his phone out. Dials. Puts it on speaker. 911. What's your emergency? Sarah can't speak. Marcus does it for her. We're at 247 Cascade Road, upstairs unit. We just broke through into our attic and there's a person up there. A woman. She's alive. A woman is in your attic? Yes. Marcus's voice is steady but his face is pale. We need police and EMS. Now. Are you in danger? Is the woman threatening you? No. She's just sitting there. She looks very ill. Officers and paramedics are on the way. Stay on the line with me. Sarah finally finds her voice. I need to go up there. No, Jerome starts. But Sarah is already climbing the ladder. Jerome's flashlight is still up there, lying on the attic floor, creating strange shadows. Sarah pulls herself through the opening, stands up carefully in the low attic space. The air is stale and thick. The flashlight beam illuminates a small section of the attic. Sarah picks it up, shines it around. The space is maybe 10 feet by 12 feet. One small window, painted over from the inside. The walls are insulated, but there's soundproofing material, 2 thick panels nailed to the studs. Against the far wall is a makeshift bed. Blankets, a pillow. Nearby is a bucket with a lid. Gallon water jugs, some empty, some half full. Empty cans of food, crackers, boxes of granola bars. And sitting against the wall, knees pulled up to her chest, is a woman. Sarah shines the light on her carefully. The woman is skeletal. Her skin is pale, almost gray. Her hair is long and gray and matted. She's wearing clothes that hang off her frame, old sweatpants, a t-shirt that's more holes than fabric. The woman squints against the flashlight, raises one thin arm to shield her eyes. Sarah lowers the light, steps closer, kneels down. The woman's face is gaunt. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, wrinkles that make her look 70 or older. But the eyes, Sarah knows those eyes. "Mom," Sarah whispers. The woman's head tilts. She stares at Sarah. Her cracked lips move. "Sarah?" The voice is barely audible, hoarse, like someone who hasn't used it much in years. Sarah's vision blurs with tears. "Oh my God, Mom. Oh my God, baby?" Linda's hand reaches out, trembling. "Is it really you?" Sarah grabs her mother's hand. "It's nothing but bones and skin. It's me. I'm here. I'm right here, Sarah." Linda's eyes fill with tears. "My baby. You're so big. You're all grown up." "Mom, what happened? How are you? How long have you been up here?" Linda's face crumples. "Since October 13, 1999. 23 years. Sarah does the math in her head. 23 years her mother has been locked in this attic. Who did this? Sarah's voice breaks. "Who put you here?" "The Canes," Linda whispers. She's crying now, silent tears running down her hollow cheeks. "Robert and Margaret. They locked me up here." Sarah hears voices below. The paramedics have arrived. She calls down through the opening. "Up here. She's up here. We need help getting her down." 2 EMTs climb up, a young black woman and an older white man. They see Linda, and their professional training kicks in immediately. "Ma'am, I'm Taylor. This is my partner, Rick. We're going to help you, okay?" The female EMT Taylor kneels beside Linda, checks her vitals. Rick is already calling for backup on his radio. "We need a Stokes basket. Patient is severely malnourished and dehydrated. Can't assess injuries fully in this space." Within minutes, firefighters arrive. They widen the hole in the ceiling, lower a rescue basket. Carefully, so carefully, they lift Linda and secure her in the basket, lower her down through the opening. Sarah climbs down after them, watches as they place her mother on a gurney. Taylor is hooking up an IV, checking blood pressure, taking vitals. "Ma'am, what's your name?" Taylor asks gently. "Linda," her mother whispers. "Linda Mitchell. How long have you been in the attic, Linda?" 23 years. The EMTs exchange glances. Rick keys his radio again. "Dispatch. We have a possible long-term captivity situation. Notify APD, we need detectives on scene." They wheel Linda out to the ambulance. Sarah follows, still in shock. She climbs into the ambulance with her mother. "I'm her daughter," Sarah says. "I'm coming with her." No one argues. In the ambulance, Linda's eyes keep closing. Taylor is adjusting the IV drip, monitoring the machines. Sarah holds her mother's hand. "Stay with me, Mom. Stay awake. We're going to the hospital. They're going to take care of you." Linda's eyes open. Focus on Sarah's face. "You're so beautiful," Linda whispers. "I always knew you'd grow up beautiful." "Mom, who did this? Why did they keep you up there?" "Money," Linda says. Her voice fades. "They took my disability checks, forged my name, Couldn't let me go or I'd tell. For 23 years? Linda's eyes close again. I'm so tired, baby. So tired. Don't sleep yet, Mom. Stay with me. But Linda drifts off. Taylor checks her vitals again. Adjusts something on the IV. Is she going to be okay? Sarah asks. Taylor's face is professionally neutral. She's severely malnourished and dehydrated. We're getting fluids into her now. The doctors at Grady Memorial Hospital will take good care of her. At the hospital, they wheel Linda directly into the emergency room. Doctors swarm immediately. Sarah is pushed back, told to wait in the waiting room. Sarah sits in a plastic chair and shakes. Marcus arrives 20 minutes later, wraps his arms around her. The police are at the house, Marcus says. They're treating the attic as a crime scene, taking photos, collecting evidence. Sarah can't process any of this. My mother has been in that attic for 23 years. 23 years, Marcus. While I thought she abandoned me. While I grew up hating her. While I became a social worker to help abandoned kids. She was right there, 30 feet above my childhood bedroom. Marcus holds her tighter. I know. She never left me. She never abandoned me. A doctor comes out 2 hours later. An older black woman with kind eyes and graying hair. Are you Sarah Mitchell? The doctor asks. Sarah stands quickly. Yes. How is she? The doctor gestures to chairs. They sit. I'm Dr. Williams. Your mother is stable, but she's in serious condition. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, multiple infections. Her muscle mass is extremely depleted. She can't walk, her legs have atrophied from lack of use. But she'll be okay? With time and proper care, yes. We're admitting her to ICU. She'll need weeks, maybe months of treatment, physical therapy, psychological counseling. 23 years of captivity. Dr. Williams shakes her head. I've never seen anything like this. Can I see her? She's sleeping now. But yes, you can sit with her. They take Sarah to the ICU. Linda is in a bed surrounded by machines, IVs in both arms, oxygen tube in her nose, heart monitor beeping steadily. Sarah pulls a chair next to the bed, takes her mother's hand. She sits there all night, just holding her mother's hand, making up for 23 years of missing her. The next morning, Detective Lisa Martinez arrives. She's in her 40s, Latina, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Martinez sits across from Sarah in the ICU waiting room, opens her notebook. I'm Detective Martinez, Atlanta PD. I need to ask you some questions about what you found yesterday. Sarah nods wearily. Okay, walk me through everything. From the beginning, Sarah does. Buying the house, the strange noises, calling the contractor, breaking through the ceiling, finding her mother. Martinez writes everything down. And your mother said the Canes, Robert and Margaret Kane, imprisoned her? Yes. She said they locked her up there in October 1999, that they were stealing her disability checks. Martinez's jaw tightens. Tell me about the Canes. They were our landlords. They owned the building, lived downstairs while we rented the upstairs unit. Are they still alive? I don't know about Margaret. But Robert is in a nursing home. That's why the house went into foreclosure. Martinez makes a note. Which nursing home? I don't know. The bank might have that information. I'll find out. Martinez looks up. Your mother was reported missing in October 1999? Yes. I was 8 years old. I woke up one morning and she was gone. Police investigated but never found her. I went into foster care. Martinez's expression softens slightly. And you've been looking for her this whole time? No. Sarah's voice cracks. I thought she abandoned me. I thought she left because she didn't want to be my mother anymore. I hated her for 23 years, and she was locked in an attic the entire time. This isn't your fault. I should have known. I should have kept looking. You were 8 years old. Martinez's voice is firm. This is not your fault. This is on the people who imprisoned her. Martinez stands, closes her notebook. I'm going to find Robert and Margaret Kane, and I'm going to make them answer for what they did. Martinez drives directly to the house on Cascade Road. Forensics is still processing the attic. She climbs up to look at the space herself. The soundproofing on the walls is professional grade, the kind used in recording studios. The window is painted over multiple coats. You can't see through it at all. There's a bucket that was clearly used as a toilet. Water jugs everywhere. Cans of beans, soup, vegetables. All generic brands. All store-bought. Someone was maintaining this, bringing food and water, regularly. For 23 years. Martinez photographs everything. The makeshift bed, the waste bucket, the food supplies, the soundproofing. Then she finds the door. It's hidden behind a false wall panel. A small door, barely 3 feet high. Martinez pushes it open. It leads to a steep, narrow staircase. She follows it down. The stairs end at another door, this one locked from the outside with a heavy-duty deadbolt. Martinez picks the lock, opens the door. She's in a storage closet, in the downstairs apartment, the Canas unit. They had direct access to the attic from their apartment. They could bring Linda food and water without anyone knowing, without ever being seen. This was planned. This was intentional. Martinez's phone rings. It's her partner. "I found Robert Kane," her partner says. "He's at Meadowbrook Nursing Home on Ponce de Leon Avenue. I'm on my way." Martinez arrives at the nursing home 30 minutes later. Shows her badge at the front desk. "I need to speak with Robert Kane." The receptionist, a young white woman, looks uncomfortable. "Mr. Kane has advanced dementia. He's not really able to communicate." "I don't care. Take me to him." They find Robert Kane in the common room. He's in a wheelchair, staring blankly at a TV. He's 73 now, frail, his mouth hanging open slightly. Martinez kneels in front of him. "Mr. Kane? I'm Detective Martinez with Atlanta Police. I need to ask you about Linda Mitchell." Robert's eyes don't focus. He doesn't respond. "Linda Mitchell. You kept her locked in your attic for 23 years. Nothing." Robert drools slightly. The nurse hovering nearby says quietly, "He's been like this for about a year. Dementia. He doesn't recognize family. Doesn't speak much. Just sits and stares most days." Martinez stands, frustration building. "Where is Margaret Kane? His wife?" "She visits sometimes. We have her information on file." Martinez gets Margaret's address, an apartment complex 10 minutes away. She drives there immediately, knocks on apartment 308. A woman answers. 68 years old, white, gray hair pulled back in a bun, wearing a cardigan and slacks. She looks like someone's grandmother. "Margaret Kane?" Martinez asks. The woman's face goes pale. "Yes, I'm Detective Martinez, Atlanta Police. We need to talk about Linda Mitchell." Margaret's hand goes to her throat. Her voice comes out as a whisper. "Is she alive?" Martinez's eyes narrow. "You know she's been in that attic." Margaret starts crying, silent tears running down her wrinkled cheeks. "Oh God, is she alive? Answer my question. You knew Linda Mitchell was imprisoned in the attic of 247 Cascade Road." Margaret nods, covers her face with her hands. "Yes, I knew. For how long?" 23 years. "You kept a woman prisoner for 23 years? I kept her alive." Margaret's voice is desperate, pleading. "For 23 years. I brought her food, water, medicine when she was sick. I emptied her waste. I talked to her. I kept her alive. You imprisoned her." "Robert did that. Robert locked her up there. I couldn't let her die." "Put your hands behind your back," Martinez says coldly. She pulls out handcuffs. "Margaret Kane, you're under arrest for kidnapping, false imprisonment, and disability fraud." Margaret doesn't resist, just stands there crying as Martinez cuffs her. "I kept her alive. That has to mean something. It means you're guilty. Let's go." Martinez takes Margaret to the station, books her, puts her in an interrogation room. Margaret's attorney, a public defender named David Ross, arrives 3 hours later. He's young, white, looks tired. Ross talks to Margaret privately for 30 minutes, then comes out and approaches Martinez. "My client is willing to cooperate fully," Ross says. "She'll tell you everything. Testify against Robert Kane. In exchange, we want consideration for a plea deal." She held a woman captive for 23 years, stole hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's no deal. Then she doesn't talk. Martinez considers. Robert has dementia, might not be competent to stand trial. Margaret's testimony could be crucial. I'll talk to the DA. No promises. The district attorney, a black woman named Valerie Thompson, agrees to consider a plea in exchange for full cooperation. Not immunity, just consideration. Margaret agrees. The interrogation is recorded. Martinez sits across from Margaret, notebook open, recorder running. Tell me what happened in October 1999, Martinez says. Margaret's hands shake as she speaks. Linda came to our apartment to pay rent, October 12th. She was early, rent wasn't due until the 1st. But she said she wanted to pay ahead because her disability check had come in. Go on. Robert was in his office. His home office where he kept all the paperwork for the rental properties. Linda saw papers on his desk. Checks. Lots of checks. She asked what they were. What kind of checks? Margaret's voice drops. Disability checks. From multiple people. Robert was. He was running a fraud scheme. He'd create fake identities, file for disability benefits, then cash the checks. He'd been doing it for years. How many fake identities? 11. He was collecting checks from 11 people who didn't exist. Martinez writes this down. How much money? About $1,500 per person per month, times 11. That's, Margaret calculates in her head, about $16,500 a month. Almost $200,000 a year. For how many years? He started in 1995, so 4 years by the time Linda found out. So about $800,000 in fraud by October 1999. Margaret nods miserably. What happened when Linda saw the checks? She confronted Robert, said she was going to report him to the police, that what he was doing was fraud, that it was illegal. And Margaret's voice breaks. Robert panicked. He'd go to prison if she reported him. Federal prison. 20 years, maybe more. He grabbed her. They fought. He hit her. Hard. She fell unconscious. Where did this happen? In our apartment. His office. Then what? Robert was freaking out, saying, what do we do? What do we do? I thought Linda was dead. I thought he killed her. But then she started breathing. She was unconscious but alive. What did you do? Margaret closes her eyes. Robert said we had to hide her, that if she woke up and went to the police, he'd go to prison and we'd lose everything. The house, the rental properties, our savings, everything. So you decided to imprison her. Robert did. I went along with it. You helped him. Yes. Margaret's crying again. Yes, I helped him. Robert carried her up to the attic. We had access through a hidden door in our apartment. The attic was supposed to be storage space. Robert had soundproofed it years earlier because of noisy tenants. We put Linda up there, locked the door, and when she woke up, she was terrified, screaming, begging. Robert told her if she made noise, he'd hurt her daughter, Sarah. He told her Sarah was safe as long as Linda stayed quiet. Martinez's jaw clenches. You threatened an 8-year-old child. Robert did. Not me. You were there. You let it happen. Margaret doesn't argue. How did you keep her alive for 23 years? I brought her food, 2 or 3 times a week. Canned food mostly, things that wouldn't spoil. Water. I'd go up through the hidden door from our apartment, bring supplies, empty the waste bucket. Did you ever consider letting her go? Every day. Margaret's voice is barely audible. Every single day for 23 years. But Robert said, if we let her go, we'd both go to prison. And the longer it went on, the harder it got to explain. After a year, how do you explain keeping someone locked up for a year? After 5 years? After 10? You could have called the police anonymously. Robert would have known it was me. And then? Margaret trails off. And then what? Robert had a temper. I was afraid of him, but not afraid enough to free Linda Mitchell. Margaret has no answer to that. Martinez leans forward. You stole Linda's disability checks too, didn't you? Margaret nods. Yes. Linda was getting $1,400 a month. After she was locked up, Robert kept cashing her checks, forged her signature. For 23 years. How much total? 1,400 times 12 months times 23 years. Margaret calculates. $386,400, plus the money from the 11 fake identities. Yes, so over $2 million in fraud. Margaret nods again. Did Linda know you were stealing from her? I told her. Eventually, I told her everything. Over the years, I'd sit with her and talk. She became, I know this sounds insane, but she became like a friend. Someone I could confide in. I told her about the money, about Robert's other schemes, about everything. And she just accepted that? What choice did she have? Margaret's voice is bitter. She was locked in an attic. She couldn't escape. The door was bolted from outside. The window was painted shut. She was weak from malnutrition. She learned that compliance meant survival. Resistance meant punishment. What kind of punishment? Margaret looks away. Robert would. He'd hit her sometimes. If she made too much noise. If she tried to break through the window. After the first few years, she stopped trying. She just accepted it. Martinez feels sick. Did you ever give her medical care? Over-the-counter medicine, pain relievers, antibiotics when she had infections. I worked part-time at a pharmacy. I could steal medication sometimes, but nothing major. She had dental problems, infections, probably broken bones that never healed right. I did what I could. That's not medical care. That's keeping someone barely alive. Margaret doesn't argue. The interrogation continues for 3 more hours. Martinez extracts every detail. The layout of the attic, the soundproofing, the hidden door, the food deliveries, the threats, the money. By the end, Martinez has a complete picture of 23 years of captivity. She has Margaret's full confession on tape. Now she needs to build the case against Robert Kane. Martinez visits Robert at the nursing home again, this time with a neurologist to assess his competency. Dr. James Chen examines Robert, tests his cognitive function, asks questions. Robert responds to some, mostly nonsensical answers. He doesn't know what year it is, doesn't recognize his own wife in photos, can't remember what he had for breakfast. But when Dr. Chen asks about the rental properties, something flickers in Robert's eyes. Properties, Robert mutters. Money, checks. What checks, Mr. Kane? Checks. Have to deposit the checks. Dr. Chen presses further. Where do the checks come from? Disability. Government. They don't know. No one knows. It's the most coherent Robert's been. The doctor makes notes. After the evaluation, Dr. Chen speaks with Martinez privately. He has significant cognitive decline, advanced dementia. But, Dr. Chen hesitates. There are moments of lucidity, brief ones, especially when discussing topics related to his past work or financial matters. It's possible he's more aware than he appears. Is he competent to stand trial? That's for a judge to decide. But in my professional opinion, he understands that he's in legal trouble. He may be able to assist in his defense to a minimal degree. That's enough for Martinez. She gets an arrest warrant. 2 officers return to the nursing home, read Robert his rights, arrest him for kidnapping, false imprisonment, and disability fraud. Robert is transported to Fulton County Jail, placed in the medical unit due to his condition. His attorney, a private defense lawyer named Richard Walsh, is a 60-year-old white man who's been practicing criminal defense for 30 years. Walsh files immediate motions, arguing Robert is incompetent to stand trial due to dementia, that he requires medical care in a nursing facility, not jail. That prosecution is inhumane given his condition. The district attorney opposes the motions. A competency hearing is scheduled. In court, both sides present expert testimony. Robert sits at the defense table in a wheelchair, staring blankly, occasionally drooling. Walsh's expert, a neuropsychologist, testifies that Robert has advanced Alzheimer's disease, that he can't meaningfully participate in his defense, that he doesn't understand the charges against him. The prosecution's expert, Dr. Chen, testifies that while Robert has significant impairment, he shows moments of lucidity, especially regarding financial matters. That he understands he's accused of crimes. That with proper accommodation, he can stand trial. The judge, a black man in his 60s named Horace Williams, considers the testimony carefully. "This is a difficult question," Judge Williams says. He looks at Robert. "Mr. Kane, do you understand why you're here today?" Robert's head lolls to one side. He doesn't respond. "Mr. Kane?" Robert's eyes slowly focus on the judge. "Jail," he mutters. "Do you know why you're in jail?" "The woman." Robert's voice is slurred but audible. "The woman in the attic." The courtroom goes silent. Judge Williams leans forward. "What woman, Mr. Kane?" "Linda. In the attic. She knew. Had to keep her quiet." Walsh stands quickly. "Your Honor, my client is clearly confused." "Sit down, counselor." Judge Williams' voice is sharp. He looks at Robert again. "Mr. Kane, did you keep Linda Mitchell in your attic?" Robert's head nods slowly. "Had to. She knew about the checks. That's all the judge needs to hear." Mr. Kane is competent enough to understand the nature of the charges and his role in the alleged crimes. Motion denied. This case will proceed to trial. Walsh tries multiple other tactics. Moves to suppress Margaret's confession. Moves to exclude evidence from the attic. Moves to sever the fraud charges from the kidnapping charges. Every motion is denied. The trial is scheduled for March 10th, 2024. But before the trial, there's Margaret's plea hearing. Margaret has agreed to plead guilty to all charges in exchange for the prosecution's recommendation of 20 years instead of life in prison. The plea hearing is in February 2024. Sarah attends. Sits in the front row, behind the prosecution table. Margaret is brought in, wearing an orange jumpsuit. She looks older, smaller, broken. Judge Williams reviews the plea agreement. "Miss Kane, you're pleading guilty to kidnapping in the first degree, false imprisonment, and multiple counts of disability fraud. Do you understand these charges?" Margaret's voice is barely audible. "Yes, Your Honor. Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up your right to a trial?" "Yes. And you understand the prosecution is recommending 20 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole?" "Yes." "Is this plea voluntary? Has anyone forced or coerced you into pleading guilty?" "No, Your Honor. This is my choice." Judge Williams looks at Margaret for a long moment. "Miss Kane, this court wants to hear from you directly. Tell me what you did." Margaret takes a shaky breath, looks at Sarah for the first time. Sarah stares back, face expressionless. "In October 1999, Margaret begins, my husband Robert imprisoned Linda Mitchell in our attic. She had discovered Robert was committing disability fraud. Robert was afraid she would report him to authorities. He attacked her and locked her in the attic space above our apartment. And what was your role?" "I helped him. I knew she was up there. I brought her food and water for 23 years. I kept her alive, but I also kept her prisoner. I cashed her disability checks using forged signatures. I stole $386,400 from her. Why didn't you free her?" Margaret's voice breaks. "I was afraid. Afraid of Robert. Afraid of going to prison. Afraid of losing everything we'd built. I told myself I was being merciful by keeping her alive. But I know now that's not true. I was just protecting myself. I was a coward, and Linda Mitchell suffered for 23 years because of my cowardice." Sarah feels tears running down her face. But not tears of sadness, tears of rage. Judge Williams accepts the plea, schedules sentencing for after Robert's trial. Margaret is remanded to custody. As they lead Margaret away, she looks at Sarah one more time, mouths the words, "I'm sorry." Sarah looks away. Robert's trial begins on March 10th. It lasts 2 weeks. The prosecution presents overwhelming evidence. Margaret's testimony, Linda's testimony given via video from the hospital because she's still too weak to appear in person. Forensic evidence from the attic. Financial records showing 23 years of forged checks. The defense argues that Robert's dementia means he didn't have the mental capacity to form criminal intent. That he's a sick old man who needs medical care, not prison. But the prosecution counters with Dr. Chen's testimony, with recordings of Robert in the nursing home discussing the checks, with evidence that Robert was competent from 1999 through at least 2021 when his dementia began. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. They return with a verdict. On the charge of kidnapping in the first degree, how do you find? The jury foreman, a middle-aged black woman, stands. Guilty. On the charge of false imprisonment? Guilty. On 13 counts of disability fraud? Guilty on all counts. Sarah sits in the courtroom and watches Robert's face. He shows no reaction, just stares blankly ahead. But for Sarah, it's everything. Vindication, justice, proof that she wasn't crazy, that her mother didn't abandon her, that monsters are real and they can be held accountable. Sentencing is 3 weeks later. Judge Williams sentences Robert Kane to 23 years for kidnapping, 15 years for false imprisonment, 20 years federal time for the disability fraud. All sentences to run consecutively. 68 years total. Robert Kane is 74 years old. He will die in prison. Margaret Kane is sentenced the same day. 20 years in federal prison. No parole. Margaret Kane is 69 years old. She will likely die in prison. Sarah stands outside the courthouse after sentencing. Reporters surround her. Cameras and microphones everywhere. Miss Mitchell, how do you feel about the verdicts? Sarah takes a breath. Steadies herself. Robert and Margaret Kane imprisoned my mother for 23 years. They stole her life. They stole my childhood. They stole over $386,000. They will both die in prison. That's justice. What about your mother? How is she? She's recovering, slowly. She's getting physical therapy, psychological counseling. She can walk with a walker now. She talks more. She smiles sometimes. But she'll never fully recover from what they did to her. 23 years of captivity damages a person in ways that can't be healed. What's next for you? Sarah looks directly at the camera. I'm starting a foundation, Linda's Light Foundation, to help other captivity survivors, to advocate for stronger protections against disability fraud, to make sure what happened to my mother never happens to anyone else, and to help families of missing persons. Because for 23 years, I thought my mother abandoned me. I never stopped looking. And that search led me back to her. Never give up looking for your loved ones. Never stop fighting. The reporters ask more questions, but Sarah is done. She walks away. Marcus is waiting by the car. They drive to the hospital. Linda is in a rehabilitation facility now, getting stronger every day. Sarah finds her mother in physical therapy. Linda is walking between parallel bars. Slow, shuffling steps, but walking. Linda sees Sarah and her whole face lights up. "Baby," Linda calls out. She stops walking, reaches out her arms. Sarah crosses to her, hugs her carefully. Linda is still so thin, still fragile. "They're going to prison," Sarah says quietly. "Both of them, for the rest of their lives." Linda's eyes fill with tears. "It's really over. It's really over." Linda sobs against Sarah's shoulder. 23 years of fear and captivity releasing in this moment. "Thank you," Linda whispers. "Thank you for finding me. Thank you for fighting for me. You're my mom. I'll always fight for you." They stand there holding each other, making up for 23 years of lost time. 3 months later, June 2024, Linda is released from the rehabilitation facility. She moves into Sarah's apartment, her own bedroom. Windows she can open, a door she can walk through whenever she wants. It takes time for Linda to adjust. She has nightmares, panic attacks in small spaces, PTSD that manifests in unexpected ways. Some days she's lucid and present. Other days she's back in that attic mentally, afraid and alone. But she's trying. She goes to therapy 3 times a week, physical therapy twice a week. She's gaining weight. Her hair is cut and styled. She wears new clothes that fit. She looks like a person again. Sarah takes a leave of absence from work, spends her days with Linda. They talk about everything. The 23 years apart. Linda's captivity. Sarah's childhood in foster care. They cry together, laugh together, get to know each other again. Linda tells Sarah stories from before October 1999, when Sarah was a baby, a toddler, a little girl. Sarah has no memories of most of it, but hearing her mother's stories brings it back, makes it real. Sarah tells Linda about her life. about aging out of foster care, about becoming a social worker, about Marcus, about buying the house and finding her mother. "I'm so proud of you," Linda says one afternoon. They're sitting on Sarah's balcony, drinking iced tea, watching the sunset. "For what?" Sarah asks. "For surviving. For building a life. For not letting what happened destroy you." "I almost did. I was so angry for so long. You had every right to be angry, but I was angry at you. I thought you left me." Linda takes Sarah's hand. "I understand why you thought that. The police told everyone I abandoned you. It made sense. Single mother, struggling, disabled. Why wouldn't I just walk away? But you didn't. I never would have left you, baby. Not by choice. Every single day in that attic, I thought about you. Wondered where you were, if you were safe, if you were happy. Margaret would tell me sometimes she'd say you were in foster care, that you were doing okay. I didn't know if she was lying, but I hoped. I prayed every day that you were alive and safe and growing up strong. I was so lost without you. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there for you. It wasn't your fault. I know. But I still feel like I failed you." Sarah squeezes her mother's hand. "You survived. For 23 years, you survived. That's not failing. That's fighting. You fought to stay alive because you knew I might come looking. And I did. And we're together now." They sit in silence for a while, watching the sun sink below the Atlanta skyline. "What do we do now?" Linda asks quietly. "We live," Sarah says. "We take back the time they stole. We build a life together. And we help other people. We make sure what happened to us never happens to anyone else." The foundation. Yes, Linda's Light Foundation. I've been working on it. We'll officially launch next month. We have funding from the settlement. The civil lawsuit against the Keynes estate settled for $2 million. After attorney fees, Sarah and Linda received $1,600,000, plus the $386,400 in restitution ordered by the court. It's more money than either of them has ever seen. "I don't know if I can talk about it publicly," Linda says. Her voice is uncertain. "Telling my story, in front of people. You don't have to. Not until you're ready. Maybe never. The foundation will work regardless." But Linda surprises Sarah. At the foundation launch in July 2024, Linda is there. She stands at the podium in a community center in Atlanta. 50 people in attendance. News cameras. Reporters. Linda's hands shake as she grips the microphone. "My name is Linda Mitchell. 23 years ago, I was kidnapped and imprisoned in an attic by my landlords. They kept me there until my daughter Sarah found me and freed me over a year and a half ago." The room is silent. Everyone listening. "I lost 23 years of my life. I lost watching my daughter grow up. I lost my health, my dignity, my freedom. Robert and Margaret Kane took everything from me except my life itself. And there were days when I wished they'd taken that too." Linda's voice breaks. Sarah stands at the side of the stage, ready to step in if her mother needs her. But Linda continues. "But I survived, and now I'm here to make sure other survivors have support. That families of missing persons have resources. That disability fraud is taken seriously. Because what happened to me should never happen to anyone else." The room erupts in applause. Linda steps down from the podium. Sarah hugs her. "You did so good, Mom," Sarah whispers. "I'm tired now," Linda says, but she's smiling. Linda's Light Foundation grows quickly. Donations pour in. Volunteers sign up. They help 3 families locate missing loved ones in the first 6 months. They provide counseling to 5 captivity survivors. They work with legislators to strengthen disability fraud penalties. The foundation gives Linda purpose, gives Sarah purpose, gives meaning to 23 years of suffering. Sarah goes back to work part-time, still doing social work, but now with a deeper understanding of trauma, of loss, of survival. Marcus proposes to Sarah in November. She says yes. They plan a small wedding for spring. Linda cries happy tears when they tell her, "I never thought I'd see you get married." "You almost didn't," Sarah says quietly. "But I did. I'm here, and I'm going to walk you down the aisle. Can you do that?" Physically, Linda smiles. Her walker is in the corner. She's using a cane now, getting stronger every day. I'll do it, even if I have to hold on to you the whole way. The wedding is in April 2025. Small ceremony, 50 guests, held at the community center where Linda's Light Foundation has its office. Linda walks Sarah down the aisle. She's wearing a purple dress, her favorite color. Her hair is gray but styled. She's gained 30 pounds, looks healthy, looks alive. Sarah in a simple white dress. Marcus at the altar in a suit. His family there. Sarah's foster families she stayed in touch with. Friends from work, foundation volunteers. And Linda, her mother, who she thought abandoned her, who she hated for 23 years, who was imprisoned in an attic while Sarah grew up angry and alone. Her mother, who survived, who's here, who's giving her away at her wedding. Linda kisses Sarah's cheek at the altar, whispers, "I love you, baby. I'm so proud of you." "I love you too, Mom." Sarah and Marcus say their vows, exchange rings, kiss, everyone applauds. At the reception, Linda gives a short speech. "I missed 23 years of my daughter's life, but I'm here now, and I'm going to be here for every moment I can. Every holiday, every birthday, every milestone. I'm not missing anything else." Sarah cries. Happy tears this time. They dance, mother and daughter. Sarah holds her mother carefully as they sway to the music. Linda's using her cane for balance, but she's dancing. "Thank you for not giving up," Linda says. "Thank you for staying alive," Sarah responds. The Canis die in prison. Margaret dies first. Heart attack in year 2 of her sentence. She's 71. Robert dies 6 months later. Complications from pneumonia and dementia. He's 76. Sarah feels nothing when she hears the news. No satisfaction, no anger, just nothing. Linda cries when she finds out. Not for them, for herself. "I wanted them to suffer longer. I wanted them to feel what I felt. But now, they're just gone. And I'm still here dealing with what they did. That's their punishment," Sarah says. "They died as prisoners. You're free, you won." Linda's Light Foundation continues to grow. By 2026, they've helped locate 12 missing persons, provided support to 20 captivity survivors, worked with Congress to pass stronger disability fraud protections. The foundation is featured in national news. Linda does interviews, tells her story over and over. It's hard, but she does it, because it helps people. Sarah continues her social work, specializes now in trauma survivors. She understands them in a way she never could before. Linda continues therapy, gets stronger, walks without a cane now, has fewer nightmares, laughs more. She'll never be fully healed. 23 years of captivity leaves scars that don't fade. But she's alive. She's free. She has her daughter back. 3 years after her rescue, Linda stands in what used to be her childhood home. Sarah sold it after the trial. Couldn't live there. Too many memories. But they come back one last time before the new owners move in. Linda stands in the hallway, looks up at the ceiling where the attic opening used to be. It's been repaired, sealed, painted over. "I spent 23 years up there," Linda says quietly. 23 years staring at that ceiling, wondering if anyone would ever find me, wondering if Sarah would ever know I didn't leave her. Sarah stands beside her mother. "I know now. I know you never left. I know you fought. I know you survived. I did it for you. Everything I did was to stay alive so that someday, maybe, you'd find me. And I did." Linda takes a deep breath. "I'm ready to leave this place behind now." They walk out together. Linda doesn't look back. Outside, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful spring day, the kind of day that makes you grateful to be alive. Linda tilts her face up to the sun, closes her eyes, breathes. "Freedom," she whispers. "I'll never take it for granted again." Sarah puts her arm around her mother. "Neither will I." They walk to the car, drive away from Cascade Road, away from the house where Linda was imprisoned, away from 23 years of nightmare, toward a future neither of them thought they'd have. Together, that's the story. Sarah Mitchell bought her childhood home and found her mother alive, traumatized, but alive, locked in the attic where she'd been imprisoned for 23 years. The people who put her there died in prison. Justice was served. A foundation was built. Lives were rebuilt. Linda Mitchell spent 23 years in captivity, but she survived. And in the end, she won. Because she's free. She has her daughter. She has purpose. She has life. That's not the ending anyone wanted, but it's the ending they got. And sometimes that's enough.